This is going to be a big one, you guys. This is going to be a big one. This is kind of the blockbuster album of the year of all of country music. Country music's biggest superstar, our everyman hero, Luke Combs. He's back with his second album. It's called What You See Is What You Get. It's going to have a big old sales week, and we got a lot to talk about. As we've talked about on this channel before, Luke Combs has become a giant superstar in the course of just about 2.5 years. He's had 6 straight #1 singles, soon to be 7 #1 singles. He has tied Shania Twain's record for the most weeks atop the Hot Country Albums chart. He's gone from playing clubs to selling out arenas, and now he is everyone's favorite, jovial, big bearded, fishing shirt wearing, red Solo cup holding everyman, and he's making appearances on late night TV. He pleases both the traditionalists and the pop country fans, and he's hard to not like. Everyone is on board with the success story of Luke Combs. I actually have a whole video called How Luke Combs Took Over Country Music, and I'm really proud of my analysis in that video, so if you're interested in how he got to where he is, go check that video out. People love to love Luke Combs, and at the center of his success, beyond the smart everyman branding, beyond just the big radio success, is an incredible voice and great songwriting. Beautiful, crazy, she can't help. I really think Luke's voice is powerful and expressive. He's able to communicate humor and conviction in how he delivers things, and then he's able to just soar. It's a very, very strong sound. And when you pair that with tasteful instrumentation and production that's thrown a bone to the kind of bombastic rock sound of a lot of modern country, but also thrown a bone to the more rootsy, rich acoustic sounds of country music history, that's a recipe for success. Now, Luke's debut album, This One's For You, was a massive hit. It even got a deluxe re-release called This One's For You Too, and this has been a chart staple for the past 2 years. So to say that the follow-up album has a lot of expectations around it would be a massive understatement. The sophomore slump is a very real thing. A lot of artists don't know what to do or how to evolve their sound after hitting it big. They overthink it, or the public gets tired of their gimmick, and it doesn't work out so well. Did that happen on What You See Is What You Get? I'm very happy to say that the answer is no. Not at all. Just 'cause I'm leaving, it don't mean I won't be right back. This is a really, really, really good album. I'm excited to talk about it with you all. It's fun to just really enjoy something, especially when you know so many other people are enjoying it, and especially when you know all the people outside of country that love to hate on country. You know, if they give this a try, I think they're gonna really like what they see. I think his first album, you could say it was like a Walmart. It had everything you needed for a good album. It was solid. It wasn't reinventing the wheel. Yeah, it was like going to Walmart. And this album's a little bit more like going to Target. Everything is just elevated a little bit. It's a little bit more clean. We don't got Rachel Ray cookware. We got that shipping Joanna Gaines nice stuff. Although given the blue collar nature of this album, I feel like a lot of people are like, ugh, Target. So maybe the first album was like Dollar General, and this one's like a Walmart. You can choose. I'm a suburban boy. I had to Google what a Zebco was when I was listening to this record. And for anyone else that doesn't know, it's a fishing pole that you can probably buy at Walmart. Anyway, metaphor moving on. It's gotten better. I think this is an improvement on his first album. Now let's break it down. Now the first thing I gotta talk about with this album is the cover. And look, I know that there's this artist named Rob Hendon that paints these guitars that a bunch of Nashville executives have in their offices, and he painted this cover, but I mean, I don't know, guys. I was a little nervous at the combination of this cover and the title, What You See Is What You Get, because I was like, is what we're getting a 4-year-old album? But maybe I just need to look at it longer. I don't know. It's a choice, is all I'm saying. The second thing I would say about this album is that it's coming in at a whopping 17 songs. Albums are getting so long. I'll actually link an article down below about how country albums literally are getting longer right now. It's probably to game the streaming algorithm and make sure you can just rack up as many listens as possible, but the album's a full hour long, 17 songs. Now, there's very few duds here, so that's okay, but it's just long. And the third thing I'd say is that the sound of this album is such a good time. It's rollicking, it's gonna really evoke Brooks and Dunn. I mean, Brooks and Dunn is even featured on this record, but it's got that kind of jovial, good time, warm sound to it. This is a very guitar-forward record, the big electric guitar sounds, but whereas on a lot of Nashville records, I think that's used to create a sense of sensuality or kind of dark, brooding, macho energy, here I'd say it's a lot more bright It's sort of fun and energetic. If you are a fan of 90s country, you're absolutely gonna love the sound of this album. Thematically, this album covers a few big topics, and I was really able to hone them into kind of three main categories. The first one is love and heartbreak. There are some songs on here in which Luke is definitely singing about his fiancée, Nicole Hocking. The last track is going to be the big wedding song called Better Together, and that seems to be the immediate sort of runaway hit from this record.
Some things just go better together, and probably always will.
But he's not always going schmaltzy. There's moments like Lovin' on You that are a little more body, or both. There's moments like Nothing Like You that are just purely romantic. But then on the other side of the relationship spectrum, there are some breakup songs called Every Little Bit Helps, even a little bit of Reasons. The second big topic is drinking, is having a good time, is throwing a party. The lead single of this record was called Beer Never Broke My Heart. That is a rollicking good time. Then you've also got One Too Many, which is the song that features Brooks and Dunn, and has just this brilliantly dumb but fun chorus line where they say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 too many. So fun to say. Even a little bit of Blue Collar Boys and Angels Working Overtime, kind of a reference in their Bud Light drinking culture. And the third theme, and I think really the main difference between Luke Combs and other artists, his most individual stamp on this record, is really this feeling of gratitude and appreciation for his life and a real authenticity in describing who he is and why he's happy to be where he is. Songs on here like Does to Me and Refrigerator Door are really almost pressing a pause button and find Luke sort of looking around, maybe literally looking at the pictures on his refrigerator and saying like, wow, these people mean a lot to me. Or looking around at his life and his family and saying, hey, these people mean a lot to me, and I'm happy to be where I'm at, and I'm happy to be who I am. I think the album is really well named What You See Is What You Get, because that is the main theme that came through. Luke is saying, I am who I am, and I'm happy about that. Now, that's not an emotion that's very easy for me, and that's why I have always actually gravitated to the sort of sadder, creakier, lonesome side of country music where there's just guys sitting in a bar and they're like, I hate myself. But Luke has a way of balancing this really hopeful view of himself with the kind of humorous self-deprecation that make this a really appealing and balanced perspective. What's up, guys? I'm editing this right now and I'm just spending way too much time on the edit. I've been trying to pull clips of his new songs that I don't already have on my computer to put in the video, just little snippets, but some kind of YouTube update is not letting me do that anymore, which I'm sure is good for piracy, but is bad for you guys and bad for, you know, reviewers like me trying to just put out a little something to be promotional. Or a review or a critique, but whatever. The rest of this video, there'll be a timestamp on the screen right now when you can click ahead. That's when I'll do a track by track review. Until then, though, it's just gonna be me reviewing the album without all the fun cutaways and graphics because I'm going crazy over here. Love y'all, goodbye. Instrumentally, like I said, there's a ton of guitar on this album, a lot of guitar on guitar. It's a very robust, very produced sound. The percussion's pretty basic, mostly just some compressed drums, but there are a few instrumental inclusions that I think really elevate this album a lot and separate it from This One's For You. I love the mandolin on Even Though I'm Leaving. What an underrated instrument, and to hear that song become this huge hit, and it's got so much mandolin in it, it's just lovely. That sort of bright, almost fairy tale-ish sound that a mandolin provides is really appealing. On the title track of the record, we've got piano that's evoking a bar-stomping saloon. And then there is so much steel on this record that really, I think, helps it breathe. On Dear Today and Every Little Bit Helps and Nothing Like You and Does to Me, we've got that great steel sound, and it just adds a little bit of bending and a little bit of room into the music. Luke's voice is so good that it can compete with a lot of production, but when just a little of the production gets out of the way, I think that's when he really, really shines. Sometimes I think there's an over tendency to rockify all of these songs, and there's just a little too much going on. His voice is textured and expressive, and he's able to communicate humor and tenderness, and I think if we were just able to focus on that a little more, I think it would be even more of an elevation of his sound. And on the places where there's steel, I feel like that's where they're really nailing it. Occasionally, I do think the album slips into a very modern, boring sound. There are a couple moments on this record that feel really derivative and kind of like they're chasing Nashville radio that I don't love at all. All Over Again, I think, is the most glaring example of that on the record. It's definitely the song I would eliminate if I could eliminate any song. And you guys know me well enough to know that I'm not going to enjoy the drum pad beat that starts that song. I even saw the top comment on the YouTube video for that song. My reputation precedes me, what can I say? And I felt a little bit the same way about the song New Every Day. I think both of those just feel a little too smooth of productions in an otherwise really earnest, straightforward record. The The songwriting is consistently strong all through this album. Luke is working with a kind of stable of co-writers that have helped define his sound and his lyrics. That includes Ray Fulcher, Drew Parker, Eric Dillon, and a bunch of others. I think my favorite cuts on the record are Ray Fulcher co-writes. I think he's so talented at songwriting, and I know he's putting out his own music, as is Drew. You should check both of them out. And I think what I really noticed listening to this record is that there's so many images that are also telling a story. Now, there's a lot of songwriters that I think want to use imagery in their writing and say, oh, you're like a burning candle. Let's just say that. And sure, a burning candle is an image, but it's not moving the story forward. I think where Luke really shines is choosing just the right images that actually communicate something. So a song like Every Little Bit Helps starts with a line, that futon I slept on in college, well, it ain't your bed, but at least it don't smell like you. So immediately you're in this sort of pitiful position where you're thinking, wow, that guy slept on a futon last night. That one image communicates a lot because no one's going to sleep on a futon when there's a bed available, but oh, I guess he's in a breakup. On Does to Me, he says, I was a last resort to go to prom with the queen. And there's so much that's happening in that line. It's not just I went to prom with this queen. He uses that phrase last resort. And think how much work that's doing. It's giving you all the context of, oh, she must have asked someone else, but then she had to fall back on me. There's also a lot of proper names and products and specific images that ground this project in reality. We get mentions of Maxwell House Coffee on Blue Collar Boys, of that Zebco 33 rod on Does to Me. We get phrases like 2 p.m. at Gate B10. There's kind of fun wordplay. You get a postcard from your cousins down in Cancun, Mexico. Those little bits of specificity make songs come alive. And trust, there are writers that do that every single line. I mean, you listen to someone like Lori McKenna, every freaking word in the song is an image like that. Luke's going for a much more broad appeal kind of thing. We're still going to get big, broad choruses and really universal lyrics, but I just think he's a cut above what so many mainstream artists do. This record's already had 2 singles with Beer Never Broke My Heart and Even Though I'm Leaving. If I had to choose 2 more, I feel like they gotta be Does to Me, which is the collaboration with Eric Church. That is a song just about Luke feeling good about himself and kind of reflecting on his life and saying, I'm not perfect, but I like who I am. I feel like that song is going to connect with a lot of people. It's fun to get Eric Church coming in there because it does feel like almost the passing of the baton of kind of this really respected king of country music kind of saying, hey, is it your turn, Luke? And then I think they're going to go the Ed Sheeran thinking out loud route and make Better Together the single, and it's going to become a huge hit, and it's going to play at weddings, and it's just a simple piano song that's saying some things are better together, and that's true of you and me too. But with all that said, I'm going to do something I don't usually do on reviews, and I'm just going to quickly go track by track through the album because this is going to be such a blockbuster album that I know people are going to want to know, what do you think of this song and this song and this song? And so let's just quickly mention them, and I'll say kind of my thoughts on each one. First song on here, Beer Never Broke My Heart. It's a fun time. It's a loud stomper. It's fun. Refrigerator Door is one of those songs I mentioned where Luke has taken appreciation for the things he has in his life, and he is thankful to look down his refrigerator and see all the things he has to appreciate and the people that he cares about, and just kind of the way it reflects life. It's like imagery to the max. It's literally a song about a refrigerator door. Even Though I'm Leaving is a killer song. It gives me the same vibes as Live Like You Were Dying in that it is this song really about the connection of fathers and sons. It has one of those perfect country music evolving choruses where even though I'm leaving means something a little bit different each time, and you can guess what kind of leaving comes last. It's the real tear-jerking kind. Lovin' on You feels like spring break vacation. It is kind of like naughty and loud and raucous and fun. Major Brooks and Dunn vibes on this one. Moon Over Mexico is an interesting song. I find the melody pretty forgettable, but it's kind of this little snapshot of beautiful times in Mexico. One Too Many is such a smart hook and a fun thing to sing along with. There is something genius and elementary about that whole 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, too many thing that goes on in the chorus, and it lives up here in my head. Blue Collar Boys sounds like a song that could have been on the Riley Green record because it's establishing, hey, we're country folks. The thing I like about it is that it never bashes the city folks. It's just saying, hey, we're proud to be from the country. At the same time, I find these songs that are just sort of identifying a people group and inviting you to identify with it, I feel they're a lot more lazy. They're harder to enter into if you're someone that didn't grow up there. They feel just kind of like a football commercial. But as we all know, I mean, I'm sitting here with a little V collar. I'm not a blue collar boy. So maybe it's just not for me. New Everyday is one of the songs I'd cut from this record. It just feels like filler to me. Reasons is an interesting song that kind of says there's more happening beneath the surface with everyone in life. I don't know why that businessman is throwing his hands up at the show. I don't know why this person's doing that. But we've got our reasons, and they've got their reasons. But then it kind of twists it from just being this humanity perspective to being more of a breakup song. Like, if you see me sitting alone, like, I got my reasons. It's interesting if a little unfocused, but I think it's got a great hook. It's so easy to remember that melody. Every Little Bit Helps kicks off my favorite section of the record. I love these 4 songs. I think this song is absolutely awesome. It's a really funny take on a breakup. I also love the line, "Those long stems are gone." He's singing about how his girlfriend only wanted wine, but those stems are gone. Stems are also a word for legs, so it kind of works as a double meaning. And the sort of dramatic pause on the chorus when he says, "Step by step." I love that. I just think this is a really, really strong, funny breakup song. Dear Today is a fascinating song that is literally a letter from tomorrow, like the ghost of Christmas future, writing to today. And it's essentially Luke Combs' future self encouraging him not to waste his life. I love that concept. There's something so poignant and strange about it. And I think it kind of communicates this fear that we all have, that we are squandering who we are meant to be. And we know there's some ideal version of ourselves that we want to live up to. There's a very interesting production choice on Dear Today where it starts out acoustic and it sounds like a work tape, just like an iPhone recording, and then transitions into a fully produced song halfway through and then goes back to the work tape. I feel like maybe what this is supposed to communicate is how far Luke Combs has come. Like, he wrote this a long time ago in the past, and now as he moves into his future, things are getting cleaned up and getting better in terms of how his music is produced and where he is in life. But I feel like the transition happens so far into the song that for me it just kind of takes me out of it, and I don't feel like the transition really works. It's an interesting risk, but I would love to hear a version where it's just the fully produced version or fully the work tape version. I guess I just didn't feel like the transition enhanced the meaning of the song. But like I said, I love the words of Dear Today. What you see is what you get is classic Luke Combs. I feel like he really shines on this song. I love that it's the title track because I think it captures everything that's great about him. His self-deprecating humor. He says, "I'm an easy read, but I ain't no open book, and I've got a knack for making things harder than they look." The chorus kind of blooms in the nicest way, and he's just got that strong vocal on display. There's not too much happening. Bellissimo. Does to Me is my favorite track on the whole record. I think this is such a cool song. I love when Eric Church comes in with his very different and very own vocal style on his verse. I mean, if Luke Combs sings like a bear, I feel like Eric Church is like a little bobcat, like wow, kind of in how he delivers everything. And I enjoy hearing that. I mean, Eric's one of my very favorite artists ever. And I think the song's interesting from a male perspective, to be honest. I know we're in an era where, oh, white men, we're tired of your tears, and oh, we don't need to hear how you feel marginalized ever. And that's okay. I think we all get it. And everyone is doing their best to be a listener and think, you know, how do other people feel? At the same time, I think there's a lot of people that feel down on themselves, that feel bad about themselves, and that's universal. I think guys cry too. Guys feel bad about themselves too. And to have this song Does to Me, it just really hit me in the feels where I was like, wow, listen to Luke Combs just be proud of himself. Feel good about himself. You know, most of the viewers of this channel are young guys. I hear how you love Co Wetzel. I hear how hard you are on yourself in the DMs you send, and then like, oh, this girl broke up with me, and like, no one cares about me, and no one likes me, and I suck. And I feel like there's something real cool and healthy and good about hearing these two guys declare to themselves, these things about me matter to me, and I like who I am. That better be a single. Angels Working Overtime is a raucous, silly song about how there are, you know, supernatural forces guarding him from himself and his own bad decision making. It's funny. All Over Again is the radio song, not for me. But that probably means it's gonna be a big single because that's just how it works. If I really don't like a song, it's always a single. Nothing Like You is a beautiful love song, and he's singing about how he's seen all these things all over the world. I love the line about how the hills of North Carolina turn into like the sky in Tennessee. It's so gorgeous. But he's saying, there's nothing really like you though. Very romantic. And then Better Together is the big schmaltzy love song at the end. We've already talked about it. So overall, I'd give this album a 7.9 out of 10. I think it's really, really strong. And if you're new here, that's a very good score for me. The best score I've given this year is a 9.1. I think this album's really, really strong. I think it's very broad in its appeal. My favorite stuff's always going to be a little bit quirkier, a little bit more specific. I feel like if this were a comedy show, I'm really into like Parks and Rec, And this is trying to be Big Bang Theory or Friends. I think he does a really, really good job of that. It's just not able to be quite as different as I would want in one of my kind of albums of the year. But like I said, that's what freaking Luke does well. That's why we all like him. But I do think occasionally the production is just a little too much, and I do think the album is too long and a few songs should be cut, and I'm not sure what I think about that Dear Today transition, and so those are just little minor things here and there, but that's a very good score, like I said, for my channel. Love that we got someone like Luke Combs that's repping country music for us in a broad sense. I think that's why I'm so encouraged. It's fun to share in something that is so obviously quality with so many other people. So there is my very long review of the Luke Combs record. It needed a long review. It's going to be a big record. It needed a lot of time. It needed a lot of notes. It needed a lot of thoughts. And so I'd love to hear some of yours. Let me know in the comments down below what your favorite songs are from this record. Hit like on this video. Share it if you're into it. And yeah, tell me if you're just angry I gave it a 7.9. I was going to give it an 8, but I feel like I always cop out and give stuff an 8. So I had to make myself go either 8.1 or 7.9. But who knows? I always reserve the right to raise or lower my scores as time goes on. That's it for me, you guys. We'll be back later this week with a bunch more stuff. Bye.